Not so easy. Gimel Gimel? Okay. What are Nedarim with conditions unavoidably unfulfilled? His friend vowed in order that he eat with him, but he took ill, or his son took ill, or he was held back by a river. These are Nedarim with conditions unavoidably unfulfilled. One may make a neder for murderers, robbers, or illegal tax collectors. That is teruma. Even though it is not teruma, that they belong to the royal house, even though they did not belong to the royal house. Beis Shammai says one may make a neder, but not an oath. And Beis Hillel says, however, even an oath, Beis Shammai says he should not volunteer to make a neder, and Beis Hillel, however, says he may even volunteer. Beis Shammai says only when he is forced to vow. And Beis Hillel, however, says even when he is not forced to vow. How is this? They told him, say, Kona, my wife is benefiting from me. And he said, Kona, my wife and my children benefiting from me. Like Shammai says, his wife is permitted, but his children are forbidden. And Beis Hillel says, however, both are permitted. If a person said, let these saplings be an offering if they are not felled, let this cloak be an offering if it is not burnt, they can be redeemed. These saplings are an offering until they are felled, and this cloak is an offering until it is burnt. They cannot be redeemed. Okay.
So now we now shift into sort of some very legalistic stuff, which is how to interpret somebody's words when they take a neder from something. They pick on, I guess, a few favorites that used to be used for Nedarim, because I mean, there's no way you're going to go through the entire language and say, okay, what did you mean when you say that? But we're giving some samples here in the Mishnah of terms that could be ambiguous, and it clarifies what we understand for this neder. So, hanoder meyordei hayam. If somebody takes a neder from people who go down to the sea, mutar biyoshvei hayabasha. So he's mutar to benefit from people who live on the land. However, biyoshvei hayabasha, if he swears of benefit from people who live on land, asur biyordei hayam, he includes the sailors among those. Why? Because sailors also mostly live on land, even though they do go to the sea. And when we're talking about people who are Yordei Hayam, he doesn't include people who just do short hops like from Akko to Yafo, where you're hugging the coast the whole time. Yordei Hayam is talking about people who go on long sea voyages. Yeah. So that's what he means by Yordei Hayam, is people who leave the coastline. Okay, Mishna Zayin Hanoder Miroi Chama. If somebody takes a neder from people who see the sun. Okay, Asur Afpesumin. He is asur to benefit even from people who are blind. Why? Shelo Miskaven Ze El Lamisha Chama Ro'a Osor. Because people who see the sun is basically the actual meaning of that is people that the sun sees them. Okay, so this would only exempt unborn babies, or I'm not sure if there's anything other than that. Duggan, fish that always live under the water. So now it's so great he can live out, and so he can benefit from fish under the water. So this person is probably going to want to get a Hataras Nedarim very quickly. It's Hanoder me shechore harosh. If somebody takes a vow of benefiting from people who are dark haired, okay. Asur bekerchen. He's also asur from bald people, or bale sevos, or people who are gray haired. But he's permitted to benefit from women and children. Why? Because shkoi harosh is a term that's used to describe adult males. That's it. Okay, so this and the following Mishnayos spend a lot of time sort of going into the definition of what terms are. It seems to have little practical impact on us, except that it just teaches the lesson that when you're using when you use a term, you understand it as it is in common usage, not in terms of the strict definition of what the words mean. Okay, back to Kesubos Yud Gimel base.
Okay, let me just put this tissue here. Okay, good. Okay. So let's do Gimel base. If someone went overseas and someone else came forward and supported his wife, Kanan says he lost his memory.
He lost his
memory. Slip of the tongue over there, maybe. If someone made an overseas and someone else came forward and supported his wife, Kanan says he lost his money. The sons of the Kohanim Gedolim differed with him and said, let him swear how much he spent and recover it. Reb Dosa ben Harkin is concerned with their view. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai says, Kanan said, well, he squandered his money. Advan says 7. If someone dies and leaves sons and daughters, in the event that there is much property, the sons inherit and the daughters are supported. If there is a little property, the daughters are supported and the sons must go begging. Adman says, because I am a male, do I lose? And Rabbi Gamliel says, I approve at Adman's view. If one claims vessels of oil from another and he admits to the vessels, Adman says, since he has admitted to part of the claim, he must swear. The sages, however, say that this is not an admission of the same kind as the claim. Said Rabbi Gamliel, I approve of Adman's view.
Okay, base.
Back to base. And Rabbi Yeshua admits that if one says to another, this field was your father's and I bought it from him, that he is believed, for the one who had created the liability is the one that undid it. If, however, there are witnesses that it was his father's and he said, I bought it from him, he is not believed. If witnesses said, this is our handwriting, but we were coerced, or we were minors, or we were unfit for testimony, they are believed. However, if there are witnesses that it is their handwriting, or if their handwriting is verified from another source, they are not believed. If this one says, this is my handwriting, and this is the other's handwriting, and this one says, this is my handwriting, and this is the other's handwriting, these are believed. And if one says, this is my handwriting, and this one says, this is my handwriting, they must join to themselves another person. These are the words of Rebbe. The Chachamim, however, say they need not join another person to themselves. Rather, a person is believed to say, this is my handwriting. Okay. Rosh Hashanah. If the Beis Din of this is based Gimel Aleph, if the Beis Din and all of Israel saw the moon, or if the witnesses were interrogated, but they did not manage to say it is sanctified before it grew dark, it is full. If only Beis Din saw it, 2 of them should stand and testify before the others that they should say it is sanctified, it is sanctified. If 3 saw it and they constitute a Beis Din, then 2 should stand up and set some of their colleagues beside the single one and testify before them and say it is sanctified, for an individual is not trusted alone. All shofars are valid except for that of a cow because it is called Karen. And Rabbi Yossi said these are not all shofars called Karen, but not all shofars are called Karen, as it is said when they make a long blast with the ram's Karen. The shofar Rosh Hashanah should be from a wild goat, straight and with a gold-covered mouthpiece and with 2 trumpets at the sides. The shofar blows long and the trumpets blow short, for the commandment of the day is with the shofar.
Okay, the halacha is not like this Mishnah, of course, because the Rosh Hashanah shofar is bent.
We have Ma'aser Sheni, base. Reb Shimon says, one may not anoint oneself with Ma'aser Sheni oil in Yerushalayim, but the common permit. They said to Reb Shimon, if they were lenient in the case of Truma, which is a grave matter, shall we not be lenient in the case of a lighter Ma'aser Sheni? He said to them, not so. If we were lenient in the grave matter of Truma, in which they were lenient in regard to vetches and fenugreek, can we be lenient in the case of a lighter Ma'aser Sheni, in which they were not lenient in regard to vetches and fenugreek? Fenugreek of Ma'aser Sheni must be eaten while it is immature, and of Truma. Beis Shammai says whatever is done with it must be done in a state of cleanliness, except cleansing one's head. But Beis Hillel said whatever is done with it may be done in a state of uncleanness, except immersing it in water. Ma'aser Sheni vetches must be eaten while immature and may be taken into Yerushalayim and taken out again. If they become unclean, Reb Tarfon says they should be divided among pieces of dough, but the Chachamim say they must be redeemed. And of Truma, Beit Shammai says they must be soaked and rubbed in a state of cleanliness, but may be fed in a state of uncleanliness. Beit Hillel says they must be soaked in a state of cleanliness and may be rubbed and fed in a state of uncleanliness. Shammai says they must be eaten dry, and Rabbi Akiva says whatever is done with them must be done in a state of uncleanliness.
Maybe done in a state of truma. It may be. It's a permission to do things in a state of truma. You don't have to become tamei to work with it.
Okay, in the Gayan. Gimel Dalet. A boil or a burn is tamei for no more than 1 week, unless it has one of these two symptoms, while white hair or expansion. With white hair, either initially at the end of the week or after the nega was declared tahor. With expansion at the end of a week or after the nega was declared tahor, they can be tummy for 1 week, which equals 7 days. The sakam are confined tummy for as long as 2 weeks, and with two symptoms, they are confirmed tummy. Deficient blonde hair or expansion. With deficient blonde hair, either initially at the end of the first week and at the end of the second week, or after the nega was declared tahor. With expansion, either at the end of the first week, at the end of the second week, or after the nega was declared tahor, they can become tamei for 2 weeks, which equals 13 days. The gayim that appear on karakas or gabakas are confined tamei for as long as 2 weeks, and with two symptoms, they are confirmed tamei: living skin or expansion. With living skin, either initially at the end of the first week and at the end of the second week, or after the nega was declared tahor. With expansion, either at the end of the first week, at the end of the second week, or after the nega was declared tahor. They can become confined tamei for 2 weeks, which equals 13 days. They never say 14 days. They always say 13.
Yes, because the 2 weeks, the first week ends on the 7th day, and then the second week starts on the 7th day.
Okay.
So it ends. So you have the overlap of 1 day that makes it into 2 days.
We have avos on Gimel Chet, base Chet.
Yeah, base Chet. Yeah.
Rabbi Yochanan and Zakkai received the tradition from Hillel and Shammai. He used to say, if you have studied much Torah, do not take credit for yourself, because that is the purpose of which you were created. Rabbi Yochanan and Zakkai had 5 disciples. They were Reb Eliezer ben Harkanos, Rabbi Yeshua ben Kananya, Rabbi Yossi the Kohen, Reb Shimon ben Nesanel, and Reb Eliezer ben Arak. He used to enumerate their praises. Reb Eliezer ben Harkanos is like a mended cistern that does not lose a drop. Rabbi Yeshua ben Kananya, fortunate is she who bore him. Rabbi Yossi the Kohen is a scrupulously pious person. Reb Shimon ben Nesanel fears sin, and Reb Eliezer ben Arak is like a spring flowing stronger and stronger. He used to say, if all the sages of Israel were on one pan of a balance scale and Eliezer ben Harkanos was on the other, he would outweigh them all. Abba Shaul said in Rabbi Yochanan's name, if all the sages of Israel, with even Reb Eliezer ben Harkanos among them, were on one pan of a balance scale, and Reb Elazar ben Arak on the other, he would outweigh them all. He said to his 5 disciples, go out and discern what is proper path to which a man should cling. Reb Eliezer says, a good eye. Reb Yeshua says, a good friend. Reb Yossi says, a good neighbor. Reb Shimon says, one who considers the outcome of a deed, and Reb Elazar says, a good heart. He, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, said to them, I prefer the words of Reb Eliezer ben Arak to your words, for your words are included in his words. He said to them, go out and discern what is the evil path in which a man should desist himself. Reb Eliezer says an evil eye. Reb Yeshua says a bad friend. Reb Yossi says a bad neighbor. Reb Shimon says one who borrows and does not repay, and one who borrows from man and is like one who borrows from the omnipresent. As it is said, the wicked one borrows and does not pay, but the righteous one is gracious and gives. Reb Elazar says a wicked heart. He said to them, I prefer the words of Reb Eliezer ben Arak to your words, for your words are included in his. Okay.
One more.
Okay. It was very interesting on our Tiyul on Friday. We went out on a tour before we before Shabbos and all. We went to Shemitah farm.
Before you put it away, we have one more Mishna to do.
Oh, you really want me to do that one? Okay. I'm sorry. I thought we had one more. I thought we did. They each said three things. Reb Elazar says, let your fellows' honor be as dear to you as your own, and do not anger easily. And repent one day before your death. Warm yourself opposite the fire of the Chachamim, but beware of their glowing coal, lest you be scorched. For their bite is the bite of a fox, and their sting is the sting of a scorpion, and their hiss is the hiss of a serpent. And all their words are like fiery coals. Okay, sorry about that.
No worries.
So we went on